Welcome back to part 2 of this episode of Milestone with our esteemed guest, Miss Crystal Lim-Lange.
It's not supposed to be 2 parts, but we are talking about such amazing stuff that it's so long. We're gonna cut it into 2, guys.
3? No, 2. 3?
2.
Okay, let's give it 2.
Let's go. I'm sure she'll be back.
Yes. Please come back.
Please come back.
Please come back.
Let's talk about work-life balance. The difference of work-life balance for employees and employers, like business owners. How do you think it's different?
Okay, so I find according to research, the most stressed out segment of most companies is actually the middle managers. Because they are what we call the sandwich segment.
For sure.
Because they have to every day give empathy, give sayang to those people below them. Then they don't get empathy and sayang from the people on top of them. And then they get messages from on top. It's like, oh, we need to cut people. You need to deliver the message. And then they don't agree with that message. But then they got to go and like execute it amongst the lower, the lower levels and so forth, the individual performers. So that segment is really, really struggling. Because they don't feel like they have control, they don't feel like that they are aligned with what they do, and also they are caught between the people below them and the people on top of them lah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, they're just messengers caught in between.
The middle management layer, that's really tough. Yeah. At the moment.
I agree. But that's not work-life balance, right?
So you asked about like how does it differ from being like an employer and an employee, right?
As in for work. Okay, let's speak in terms of maybe not the difficulty of it, but the difference between the upper management, as in the bosses, the CEOs, and maybe someone who's just an employee, someone who just joined the company.
Okay. If you're upper management, as particularly like you, an entrepreneur, you have a whole host of risks that you have to hold in your mind at all time because you employ people, right? And it's like you need to worry about payroll, you need to worry about insurance, you need to worry about if anything happens, all these kind of like risks, liabilities that like employees don't have. Right? The worst thing that can happen for an employee is that they lose their job. And I know that sounds terrible. It is a big deal when you lose your job. But the worst thing that can happen to a business owner or senior manager is that they get sued and they lose everything.
Yes.
Yeah, and not only that, but they still owe people money, they become bankrupt, and their life is pretty much destroyed financially. That is way worse than just losing a job. So therefore, senior management, directors, entrepreneurs like yourself, it's a far heavier psychological burden than being an employee. And so that part of it, that sort of part of your psyche that's like holding all these risks, it can never completely turn off.
Yeah, it will never turn off.
It's not that you can never not be liable. You never always have a duty of care. Even when you're on holiday, you have a duty of care. What happens if one of your staff members gets injured while you're on holiday? You are ultimately responsible. So it's that kind of radical responsibility and ownership that you have to have, which means that work-life balance is very, very difficult at that level.
Yeah, very true, very true. Even a lot of people the friends I have, I see them struggling with this. And not just big companies, even small startups. Like they even struggle thinking about like, should I add one more head count? Should I hire somebody to take on this burden, and then I can move on to growing the business? So I see this happening in all different spectrums of being a boss. However,
sorry, were you going somewhere with this?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question. How would you suggest they cope with this?
So it's really important to have a supportive partner, or at least a non-toxic partner. So
you mean to be in a relationship or in the business?
Yeah, both. It is important to a lot of times where you're gonna get a lot of grief is from toxic relationships, whether it's at home or whether it's at work. So it's really, really important to be very careful about the people who you surround yourself with. I think that's the number one thing. Yeah. Social support, even in mental health research, is the number one predictor to whether you are mentally okay or mentally not okay. Like, if you have a strong social support system, you're much more likely to be resilient than somebody who feels isolated. I can't confide in anything. When things go wrong, I keep to myself. I become more and more insulated. So it's going to be really hard if you're an introvert and you don't have a strong support system. Yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
It makes a lot of
Makes a
sense.
lot of sense.
I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah.
I hope you feel like you have a good support system.
Yeah. Let's go back to the middle management thing.
Okay, yes.
Because I completely agree with you.
Yes.
How would you suggest they cope with that as well?
Okay.
Being sandwiched in the middle, and sometimes perhaps not having the freedom to make the decisions that the upper management give them, but at the same time having to execute them.
Yeah, there's this concept that's becoming very trendy this year called career mobility. So in the olden days, we used to think of a career ladder. We go up one rung, then another rung, and then we progress, you get
Yeah,
promoted.
yeah.
But in today's world, the career ladder doesn't exist anymore. It's like a career lattice or matrix, right? Where the sideways movements are as important as the upward movements. And actually, Gen Z is telling us, I don't even want a career ladder. A lot of them are like, I don't want to be promoted. I actually am happy doing what I do. I just want to be engaged and curious. So career mobility is actually, you don't need to just move up all the time. It's like, can you actually make like horizontal moves as well and actually harness this portfolio of experiences, seeing your career as a portfolio of experiences and building up transferable skills and learning. So for middle management, there's not a lot they can do with regards to like decisions that come down from the top. But one thing they can control is their learning and their growth. Am I learning? Am I growing in my job? And if I'm not learning and I'm not growing, can I actually job craft or find different experiences, exposure to different countries, different projects, different type of work, whatever, so that I feel a sense of satisfaction? And even if I walk out of this company tomorrow, I have learned a lot. And I'm going to actually have a lot of transferable skills that made my time here worthwhile.
That's amazing. That's so relatable because that's exactly what I've been putting my middle management through, like the last 3 weeks,
Yeah,
last
wonderful.
2 months. Yeah, growing sideways, learning horizontally,
Yeah.
and like because everybody really sees like, okay, how can I get to the next step? How can I become the next manager?
Yeah.
How can I get promoted into something with more power, more freedom, more responsibility, more accountability, but at the same time they are not necessarily learning
Yes.
what is needed to be
Yeah.
promoted to that figure.
This is why Silicon Valley is cutting, all the tech companies are cutting. Meta grew from 10,000 people to 80,000 people. Why? Because everyone wants to be promoted. Then you promote people, then you hire more people underneath, da, da, da. And then like the thing is that actually we cannot sustain this. This is craziness. We cannot just keep on promoting people. There has to be other ways in the world of work to make people feel like they are valued. And it cannot just be promotion, because otherwise everybody will be a manager, and then you got to cut everyone
Yeah.
because the middle layer is bloated and no one's doing the work.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And in tech, they found out that like that's what Elon Musk did with Twitter, and it's really unpopular, whatever. But you know what? Like a lot of people are saying that Elon just did the things that nobody else dared to do, but everyone else was thinking, because it's like if everyone's a manager, who's doing the work? And so he was like asking people, submit to me the code that you've written, submit to me the what have you actually done. And this is the promotion culture. It breeds this kind of like bloated middle layer where it's like, okay, I reward you for your loyalty by promotion, but not everyone is also cut out to be a people manager. Some people are, to be a people manager, you really need to have a heart for people. You actually need to like these crazy, irrational creatures that are called people.
Yeah.
Not everyone likes people, and that's okay. Yeah, but then we end up promoting a lot of people who are technically very good, their hard skills, good individual contributors. We promoted people managers, then they start pissing off everyone.
Yes. So
Yeah.
what about the people who you think who want to be promoted, who want to be these managers but don't have the people skills?
Yeah.
They don't realize they don't have the people
Yeah.
skills. They are looking at it on paper. They think, oh, okay, I want to be closer to the boss. I want more responsibility from the boss. But when it comes to execution,
Yeah.
they realize that just a lot of people don't like them.
People just believe that's the pathway that society tells us. Like, if you're any good, you will be promoted. If you're any good, da da da. But the thing is that like we that's why career mobility is really important. It's about showing people we value you, and there's other ways the company can recognize you, but not necessarily in people management, because people management is a specific competency. It means that you need to have excellent communication skills. You have excellent empathy and actually feel empathy for someone. And for some people, so if you have somebody who's not a natural fit for being a people manager, you can either, number one, send them for training. So it might be a skill issue. Number two, it might be a will issue. But like, they just don't like people. Okay, will issue harder to solve.
Yeah.
Or competency or aptitude issue, no matter how much you try, it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
For them. Okay, so then you need to kind of say to them that, look, we can recognize you in other ways: compensation, growth experiences, flexi work, job crafting, whatever it is. But it shouldn't be like people management is something that is just the only way to be valuable to this company.
But it seems like that,
Yeah,
right?
it seems
Because
like
when
that.
you control a bigger group, you look like, oh, you are the leader.
Yeah,
You
more
are the
power.
one heading
Yeah.
the team into the battle.
Yeah,
but that's
you can have people who don't who project manage.
yeah.
Yeah, but they are not in charge of direct reports lah.
I always go back to the example of a football team.
Right.
I mean, before this, Cristiano Ronaldo is the goal scorer. He will always score the goals, but he's
Right.
not the best captain.
He's not.
Yeah, it's a specialized skill.
Yeah, it's a specialized skill. He's not the best with people.
Yeah, but in
know?
Google, they tried that for the longest time because they were experimenting with different structures where it's okay, the geeks, those technical
Yeah.
people, right, the coders, right, they're actually really not good people managers. So they tried to get people who were specialized people managers to work with the coders, but then they felt the coders didn't respect them because they didn't
Yeah.
understand what it was like. So, they had to, I think every company has got to find out what works for them. And that's where career mobility comes really important, because you can actually have job rotation. So part of the leadership criteria could be you must have worked in all the different parts of Titan before you are eligible to be considered
Yeah.
for leadership. So this is part
I
for
do
that.
that to them. I
Yeah,
do that
good,
to them. Right?
good.
Right?
I'm everywhere already.
Yeah. So,
Except for finance and HR, but yeah, I've been almost everywhere.
yeah, so you got to make sure that there's this rotation, and it kind of keeps people engaged and keeps people growing and learning as well.
Yeah, but that comes down to respect also, right? Because if your leader can't do what you do, it's very unlikely that you will have full respect for them. Like when they tell you to do something, for example, video editing, let's say a supervisor comes, hey, you edit or not? One day already, why your video haven't finished yet?
Yeah.
You where's your sound effects and stuff? The editor will be thinking this guy can't even do the thing that I do.
Yeah.
This guy can't even
This guy
edit.
don't even edit. Who is he to tell me that I'm supposed to do this in one day?
That is always the challenge. So it's about also but then again, it's a mindset. Look, when you hire a management consultant, these companies, they pay millions of dollars to McKinsey, they pay millions of dollars to Bain. They come in and tell me how to run my company. These consultants have never worked in the industry before. They are being hired for their strategic thinking abilities. They're hiring for their analysis and whatever. So it's also about understanding that you're right. Everybody needs to earn respect. But technical skills is not the only way that they can earn respect.
Definitely.
If you have very good strategic skills, you got very, very good,
People skills.
whatever it is, and you can demonstrate it in a very clear way, then that in itself is a specialization.
Right.
And who are you to say that because this is the core competency of my job, is this. It's not technical competence, it's not what you do.
Right. I guess it's just a bit different and harder to justify that based on a criteria, right? Or based on what everybody sees. If everybody is in a production and then sees one guy, maybe he's managing everyone, but he's not bringing the results.
As a people leader, a lot of your job is coaching, and a lot of your job is aligning.
And understanding your roles.
and
I
understanding
think
your
you have to
roles.
Understand
Yeah.
your roles.
Yeah, but a
as
lot
well.
of them don't know how to coach, right? If you have somebody who's really good at coaching and developing people, because the role of a leader is not about what you yourself can do, it's about how much can you unlock the potential
Yeah.
of the whole team. How much can you unlock from them? So that means you have got to have a methodology. It's like, look, I'm an experienced leader. Now, what we're going to be doing is that every month you're going to do one-on-ones with me. I'm going to give you a coaching session. I'm going to do this. We're going to be very systematic. I'm going to track you guys. I'm going to have career development plan for each of you. I'm going to hold you accountable, blah, blah, blah. When you have this kind of systems and this kind of methodology, you know your stuff. People are not going to question that you do nothing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's about being very clear. What is your value proposition? Like, what do you bring to the table? The problem is when you cannot articulate your value proposition. What value do I create for this company? That's when it's like, wow, this guy just talk sing song only.
Yeah, but they don't see the other stuff that you do that actually do add value.
Yeah.
So I think it's communication so very key.
Yeah.
I don't know how we went from work-life balance to
also
this.
don't know.
Okay.
But it's good. It was so good. I can't stop.
It's free therapy, though. It's free therapy.
Consultant.
Okay, so speaking of work-life balance, I think the more touchy subject is, like after working hours, your boss messages you.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
How do you say no, or like politely say, don't disturb me?
Okay, firstly, you gotta do the risk-reward analysis, right? Because there's no one size fits all. If your boss messages you and it's really an emergency, and your boss, she or he, does not message you often, it's a very different situation. Your boss just message you every day for every little thing also, and then nothing to do also message you, right? So like each situation needs to be considered holistically. So you need to ask yourself, like, okay, is this a pattern that my boss is repeatedly violating my personal time? Is that a pattern? Okay, if it's just once in a while, then okay lah, maybe it's not such a big deal. But if it's repeated, then it might be something that you want to address. Number two, is it necessary? Like, was it something like, hey, I just need you to send me this file, I can't find it, whatever. Okay, like it probably will take 5 minutes of your time to send the file, and it's an urgent request because your boss needs it for something. Okay, that one more justifiable. Or is it that your boss has just been trained to expect somebody to just answer all kinds of verbal diarrhea sort of things, right? So again, you need to ask yourself, is it necessary? Right? Was this request necessary? Then the third thing is like, okay, now, is it worth it? So it might be a career limiting mover if you go and call out the boss that it might not be safe for you. Not all bosses are safe, right? So you ask yourself these questions to evaluate, like, how should I assert a boundary? Now, if it's chronic, your boss is not understanding, you've tried to give feedback, it didn't work, then then it might be a wrong fit for you. Yeah, this role. So you might need to go and look for a job that kind of is more amenable to your idea of work-life balance. However, I will always suggest give feedback first to your boss. And there's a number of things you can do. Okay, firstly, if it's a non-urgent request, sometimes it's just like your boss, like me, like that. Sometimes I'm traveling across different time zones or whatever. It's just like when I remember, I better go and shoot one WhatsApp, otherwise I'll forget. Yeah, so I always brief my staff, like, when I send you a WhatsApp, outside working hours, I do not expect you to reply until the next possible, unless it's urgent. Okay, it's just my way of putting it so I don't forget.
Oh yeah, I do that as well.
You do that as well,
when
right?
I text at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But then like let's say like I as long as they are awake, and I send I don't know how to put this, but let me try to articulate this.
Okay.
When I send a WhatsApp to my team, let's say at 3 a.m. or
Yes.
something, it's just like my thoughts, and I better make sure that it doesn't
Yes.
escape.
Yes.
But when I send like a urgent text, and I know they are awake at 1 a.m.
Yes.
I will wait. Then I'll say. Then after like 5-10 minutes, I will be like, why nobody replying me? Then I'm like, am I talking to a wall?
Okay, I think that one you need some therapy for. Okay, but seriously, if obviously if it's an emergency, then like these things happen, right? But I think it's worthwhile everyone having a conversation with their line manager or boss about expectations and about people's work style.
Yep.
Yeah. So some people, like, just at the start of your onboarding or even, regularly, I'm like, hey, I notice I've been receiving a lot of messages outside work hours. So can I just clarify on the expectations? Do you expect me to reply whatever, or is on the spot when it's non-urgent, or is it only for urgent, or would you like, just clarify only? Yeah, and then maybe you get some information like, oh no, I'm just like trying to capture that thought before I forget it. In which case, that's fine. So then you can say to them, look, then in that case, would it be okay for me to reply the next available working hours, so that I can use my time off to work on my work-life balance and recharge, and so that I can be even more energetic the next day at work. Yeah, so normally like your boss would be like, yeah, that's fine. I mean,
Most of the time.
assuming lah.
No, like if they say
most
that,
of-
of course, like, yeah.
No, you're very understanding of it. You
they're
understand.
because there is intentional culture and then there's unintentional
Hustle,
culture.
hustle culture.
Hustle.
Yeah, so as long as you're clear about that, I work with a lot of hedge funds.
Yeah.
And the hedge funds guys, they'll be like, no, I'm not interested in this, whatever, inclusion, work-life balance. And we make it very clear up front. You want to join us, this is the culture. You better be prepared to eat what you kill.
Yeah.
Okay, this kind of thing. But as long as we are clear about the culture, people can't say, I don't know, I didn't just know what to sign up for. It's like they go in eyes wide open, but you got to be very clear. This is what is the culture, and this is what you get out of it.
Yeah, and especially for SMEs, I think, or maybe even startups. I
Yeah.
think this texting at night, I
Yeah.
think it happens more often, especially with the management.
Yeah. But
Not sure if it happens with.
no, it happens all the
every-
time.
everywhere?
It's
Really?
even with corporates all the time. Like, it's one of my most popular weekend AMA questions. Always like, how do I stop my boss from texting me on the weekends and sort of stuff. So everyone's struggling with these. And like there was this TikTok creator recently that was like, are Singaporeans crazy? Do they ever sleep? Why is it that I send a message? Do you
Is
remember
it Kelvin?
this?
Yeah,
I saw that, I saw
Mickey.
that.
This lady called Mickey, right?
Yeah, it's
Something like that.
I think I see
She
it.
was like, Singaporeans are like the craziest people. Every time you send anything, like you see the blue ticks happen, and then after that they reply you straight away, no matter 1 a.m., 3 a.m. or whatever. Like, it's something particular to us Singaporeans as well. We're like them, sensitized already, like army mentality. It's like all of us are sleeping with our rifle underneath the pillow, like ready to
Yeah,
jump
man.
out, like wow.
If Chenao doesn't text me in the weekend, I get worried.
Yeah, no, honestly, right, if Chen Hao doesn't message me at night, I'll be like, I messed up today. Wow, something.
They have been conditioned.
No, but it's just the way of us working after all these years, And plus, we used to stay together also.
Okay.
As friends, even as colleagues. So
Yeah.
it becomes like our second. It's the second nature to
It's your-
us. So if you don't message, it's like kind of weird.
The thing is that do what works.
Yeah.
If it works, keep on doing it. When you change it is when it doesn't work. If things still work, then no need to change.
I think it has not reached a level
Mm-hmm.
where we can all sit back and look back and be like, yeah, we really built something.
Not yet.
Let's take a step back because
Yeah.
we have not reached that level.
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
When
No,
we
I get
reach
it.
that level yet, it's like let's party together. Let's go
Yeah.
out together. And over the last few years, there have been certain points where that feeling have lasted for a while, but now we are back to restructuring mode
You know what? Because you guys have something to prove, right?
to ourselves. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. It's like, you're like, I want to do this. I'm powered, but I want to show that I can do it.
I think also because of our age, we are still
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we are reaching that point where we are a bit aware that soon we may have to start stepping back because of kids, of
Yeah.
marriage, of family, aging
Totally.
parents.
Knee
So we
problems.
feel like maybe this is like the last lap.
Well, the thing is that, like, when you're young, right, a lot of it is understanding, is about saying yes. Yes.
for sure.
Right? And
For
then,
sure.
like, at a certain inflection point, then success is about saying no. And at a certain point after that, it's like the most successful people say, like Warren Buffett said, the most successful people are people who say no to almost about everything. But that takes time before you earn the no.
You have to earn it,
You gotta
right?
earn
You can't be some like 20-year-old kid saying no to everything.
No,
Go
bloody
home
hell.
lah.
Says yes to everything already, sell my backside already, and now I can say no. So it's like, before you break the rules, you have to understand the rules and how to play the game and how to like work the matrix. And then after that, you can say, look, I know how the matrix works. I'm going to step out of the matrix. And now I'm going to interface with the matrix as I see and fit. Or I might create my own matrix.
Speaking
about the
Matrix,
Matrix, there's all this Andrew Tate stuff going on, talking about how you need to unplug from the Matrix.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think the Matrix is real?
I don't follow Andrew Tate. Can you? Can you
explain
break
it? Okay,
No,
there is
I know
this
who he is.
matrix
I
of
know who he
work,
is.
and to be successful, you have to unplug the matrix. There's this red pill and the blue pill.
Yes. One is like you accept the system,
Accept the system.
the rules of the
Yeah.
system, and then you play the game.
Yes.
And then the other one is like you break it, like you don't accept. Okay.
Blue pill, accepting
Yes,
everything.
I got
Red
it.
pill, take it, understand the world, unplug from the matrix,
No,
and
I
see the world.
I see where he's coming from, but I think a better metaphor is actually this idea of a shadow career. Do you know what this shadow career is?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, there's this concept that a lot of people actually pursue a shadow career, which is a career that they're okay with, but it's a bit mid. It's not like their true passion. They're not like going for it. I always wanted to be a rock star, always wanted to do stand-up comedy, whatever. But it's kind of like good enough, right? And the idea is that why they go through life pursuing the shadow career is because the real career will be too devastating for them if they fail at it.
Right.
If they actually took the courage to say, yes, I'm going to put myself out there and say, reveal my real dream is to be a YouTuber or whatever, then they're so scared that they won't make it, people will laugh at them, it will never happen, and then they would have exposed themselves. So they would rather spend their whole life living a shadow career than actually pursuing their one true or their true career.
But what we're saying here is neither good or bad, right? Because maybe some people just don't have what it takes. Maybe the will and the skill is different.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, but so like that is true. So sometimes people just kind of like, you know what? I'm going to do what's pragmatic. I'm going to do what's pragmatic, and I'm going to kind of like not everyone's destined to be like a superstar YouTuber.
And I guess that's something that a lot of Singaporeans face.
Yeah.
Because I realize Singaporeans do not unplug from the system.
Yes, this is true. So the red pill, blue pill thing, coming back to this, right? A lot of Singaporeans want careers that are like extensions of school. Like
Yes.
a lot of my friends, they like
100%.
You know what I mean? It's like okay,
but it's legit like growth. Like it's like there's
Yeah,
a there's
it's
a
like-
formula. You go school,
Yeah.
you go uni,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go you take a degree, you go
Yeah, yeah.
become a lawyer. You are under a law firm,
Yeah.
you build your own law firm,
Yeah.
you become a partner, and you're set.
because it's them structured lah. I mean, that's like they dare not like get out of the matrix sort of thing, right? So a lot of my brightest kind of friends, because I was in a gifted education program, right? But like to me, it's such a waste because a lot of these like so-called gifted people, they are so lacking in courage. They're like, okay, after I study this already, no, what next? Oh, it's very scary. Okay, I do a master's, and then I do a PhD, and then I go and become an academic, and then I teach other people to do what I did because I'm not like, I don't know how to enter so-called the real world.
Yeah.
So a lot of them go into public service. Oh, am I going to be cancelled for saying this? A lot of them go to academia, public service or whatever. And in a way, it's kind of like self-soothing. I'm just going to recreate this environment that was like a grown-up version of school. So I'm creating my own stuff and you're creating your own stuff as
creating
well.
my own
But like,
stuff.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and sometimes the red pill is not necessarily just like the pill and then get rich and stuff. Sometimes it's like a lot of happiness and fulfillment as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not necessarily like rich, just be rich. This means I unplug
Yeah.
from the matrix.
It's the
you know?
willingness to
Yeah.
It's just
learn
it's
and
like
improve as well.
no, it's just like unplugging from the system and realizing that there's a system out there that you can create for
Yes.
yourself and you can thrive on it.
Time is another version of the matrix. By 25 years old, you should be doing this. 30 years old, you should be doing
Getting
this. Then
married.
35 years old, you should be doing that. Like, who said what? I mean, when I had kids, I got married like in my early 20s. Then I popped out 2 kids in my mid 20s, Everybody was like, are you crazy? Like, these are the best years of your life. You should be focusing on career and being a banker. Why are you going off and having kids and all that? Then I sort of semi-retired and like in a farm in Australia. In the best years of my life, from 29 to 34, I was in a farm somewhere. People are like, you crazy?
Amazing.
You're never ever going to get your career back. You're always going to be a stay-at-home mother. And my mother even told me, you wasted my money sending you to law school. Like, if all you wanted to do was be a housewife, and that was it. So like, I've never done things on other people's timetable. And then
Absolutely.
I came back after like 5 years out from the corporate world, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the corporate world, and I went to senior management in a large organization. I did a whole corporate thing. Then people were like, wow, you're going to be promoted and this is amazing. You're in senior management. I was like, I don't want anymore. Then people are like, you crazy? Why are you stepping out of the corporate, circle when you are just in senior management? You're at the top grade already. So I've never ever done what other people expected me to do on their timetable. Cause for what?
And look at you now.
Yeah, so like, these are all arbitrary, completely arbitrary. Do what makes sense for you. Like a lot of us, are living lives that other people expect of us. And we're still listening to the opinions of people who we wouldn't even trust asking directions to the kopitiam. We wouldn't even trust them to take the directions, but yet we are still living our life to please them for what?
Yeah.
You know, forget it.
Wow. I think that's a great place to end it. Wait, I just want to ask, 29 to 34, why farm?
Long story.
Sounds like a good plan though.
Okay, this is the
Is it you want
okay.
to taste the retirement life for a while?
It was always my dream to financial independence, retire early.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's good.
when I first started my career as investment banker, I really sold my soul. I cannot even repeat the things that, you know, the extent that I was willing to do. You would understand.
I would understand.
You would understand the kind of like, it was that kind of mentality. Your boss tell you, this toilet bowl, the rim after that you lick it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. Okay. So I totally sold my soul, but with the mind that my value was freedom. I'm going to bank all this stuff, learn as much as I can from this industry, because nobody can take that away from me. And then because I worked so damn hard when I was young, it allowed me the freedom to say F you. And my number one goal in life was the ability to just, not that I'm a vulgar person, not that I want to be offensive, but I just want to be able to say F you to anyone.
Amazing.
I just want that.
Yeah.
We call that in banking, we call that FU money. What is the number that you need to have in which you feel you can say FU to anyone? That is FU money. So I
Nice.
had a number in my mind and I was like, yeah, I'm going to hit that number. And my number one value is freedom. I don't want anyone to control
So
me.
once you hit that FU money, it's the farm to the
Fuel,
farm.
man.
Okay,
You
so
know
after the
what you want lah.
farm, what happened at 34 that you said?
So in
back.
29 actually was a combination of things. Went through a crisis with my ex-husband.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a marriage breakdown because we kind of spent so much time working and grown apart as people. I had 2 little kids, so very stressful, as you know, having young kids on a marriage. And then also, subprime happened, and my ex-husband was in the thick of the subprime crisis.
Sorry,
He was
subprime is?
What's up, friend?
subprime, the bond crisis, the collapse of 2000, when Lehman Brothers went bankrupt.
2008.
Yeah, when Bear Stearns, when all of that, you know, collapsed, there was this huge subprime housing bubble where like everything collapsed in the financial markets. So like literally I was looking at the share price of Lehman Brothers and going from 80 to 70 to 60, started selling nothing. Like you're seeing all the stocks just like drop like that. So like that banking crisis also was a good time to take some time out, because the up cost is nothing. Like everyone's getting retrenched. Everyone's having a shitty time. So like, you know, every week I get AMAs from people like, should I quit my job? I want to quit my job. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to do this, whatever. Is this a good time? And I'm like, well, not that I'm telling you to do it, but if you were considering to take some time out from the corporate world, this is a perfect time. People are cutting off the place. The market's so terrible. Nobody has a strategic direction. Not even the best companies know what they're doing. Everyone's going to receive shitty bonuses this year. You stay for what? You know, so like if you're already planning to move, the opportunity cost in banking, we say, what's the op cost? What's the opportunity cost? It's very low, because it's not like everyone's doing so well. If you had stayed, you would have missed out on this FOMO, on all of this, right? So like, you know, to your point, at that point in time at 29, my marriage was on the rocks. The financial markets were shit. Okay, everyone was losing money. Everyone was cutting. Bankers were like, banking was terrible. So it's like no better time than to take the whatever blue or red pill, exit the matrix, and do my own thing.
Nice.
And I had a radical experiment, which I wanted to be on a farm. And in those days, this was Occupy. I know you guys very young, very young. But this is during the time like Occupy Wall Street, where like there was this anti-whatever sentiment. We really genuinely thought that it was going to come down to Armageddon sort of thing, right? And so I bought a farm in Australia, and a lot of people were convinced the banking system was going to collapse, just a bit like now, where you're seeing all these bank runs and everything. So a lot of people were like, I had gold bullion, I had bars, I had actual gold bars. You know, that was the extent of it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to conduct this experiment. I want to go to Australia, go and buy a piece of land, and actually try to be self-sufficient. So we grew our own vegetables. We had like chickens, we had like ducks, we had sheep, we had alpacas, and like, you know, we're like olive grove and vineyard. And I was like, I wonder what it's like to actually get away from this like whole rat race, and I want to experiment with what life is about. work-life balance. So like I did work-life balance in a different way. I worked like crazy for 8 years, and then I didn't do work for 6 years, and like that's my version of work-life
Sure.
balance. And then
It's just a
after-
different
it's just
timeline.
different
So
timeline.
good,
Yeah. And then
Cool.
now I'm back to working like crazy again. But
Okay.
who knows?
Who knows, right? This
maybe
year,
it-
you go back to the farm. huh?
Another farm, another farm,
Yeah,
another
the way it's
Okay,
looking
all come to my-
I think I need
all
to
come to my
get some
farm.
gold pillions as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I get a sheep as well, man. I want a sheep, man.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, great. Let's end it.
All right. So I hope you guys learned a thing or two about work-life balance today. If you guys want to know more about it, or if you guys want to share more about work-life balance, please leave it in the comment section down below. And as usual, remember to subscribe and follow us on our socials. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Hi.